And you know, something our Shaykh usually says is non-Muslims don't read the Quran or Hadith, they read you. So you have to be the best example of with the Quran and Hadith.
Our Shaykh and he has taught us, whenever you meet non-Muslims and that, your aim is to make them Muslim one way or another.
Because when you said, like, when did you start practicing? I would say about in the last year or so, because I've come to a masjid that people just accept me for who I am. I can literally, anyone, even if I've never met him before, can just go and ask him, you know, a question about this and that. And even if they don't know, they won't try and answer it. They'll just point you to someone that doesn't.
Because I didn't go straight into Islam. Like I said,
Okay,
I left
first
Christianity. I first come to Christianity, then left it, went to Torah.
So wait, before Christianity, what was it?
Well, if you think about it, it's kind of Torah.
Yeah.
But then I kind of left Torah to go to Christianity. Then come back to Torah, left Christianity. Then through Torah found Islam.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, guys. I hope everyone's well. Welcome to the first podcast on Impossible. And today we got two special guests for you guys, and we're going to ask them about the journeys on how they came to Islam, inshallah. Starting off with our brother Kane, he's a revert, and our brother Kevin also. So starting off with how me and our brother Kane here met was quite interesting. I was walking through town and just doing a bit of shopping, and just literally just walking back home now, and I've gone past Waterstones, and all of a sudden there's Christians there who normally preach and everything, and they've given me a leaflet, and I was with our brother Adnan. We were literally just walking home, and the lady said, take a leaflet, and naturally I said, I'm okay, but don't want to be rude, so I said, I'm a Muslim, right? And as soon as I said that, she replied saying, so was I. Right, and straight away we just stopped right there. Right, I was like, okay.
Recite the Surah Fatiha.
Right, yeah. I mean, yeah, that came at one point as well. But straight away we just stopped and we turned to her and we were like, okay, let's speak, right? So she goes, I was a revert and accepted Islam for a month and apparently read the whole Quran, understood the whole deen, and it's got contradictions in it, and she left. So anyways, we're having this discussion now, how Islam is the truth and the Quran is preserved, and you know, usually what happens is Christians say to Muslims, your book's not preserved. And I find it quite weird when they say this, because the versions are actually in Christianity. There's only one version of the Quran, right? So anyways, we were just speaking. I had a 20-minute to half an hour convo with that lady. Then another person came over. And then I seen this brother Kane, he had the mic and he was there preaching, and he was active in, alhamdulillah now, but he was there preaching, and literally we were just looking at him from far, like, this brother looks like he should be in Islam. You know what I mean? So after a bit he came over, and then we started having a conversation with him, and how long did we speak for? About
ages.
Spoke for a while basically, and it was just, he wasn't agreeing with me and I wasn't agreeing with him, but then we exchanged numbers and we just left. We thought, we'll meet up sometime, but we'll go into more detail later on.
Inshallah.
And now we have our brother Kevin, mashallah, and obviously he's going to tell us his story, because I didn't bump into him. So the first question is, how did you guys find Islam, or how did Islam find you?
So before you go into Kevin's story, I just want to ask Ken, you was a Christian preacher?
Yes.
Is that what you're telling me? So when he met you in town, you was...
I think I was on the mic.
You was on the mic?
Yeah, he had the mic.
I remember once speaking to someone who was on the mic, Christian preacher, yeah, and I swear I was trying to give him I was trying to say something to him. You was there that day? I was trying to say something to him, and he was literally just looking over me.
Yes.
He was literally just looking over me and just continuing preaching, Jesus is this and Jesus... I was asking him a question and he didn't even look at me.
I remember that day.
Paid no attention to me, so mashallah for you to be an ex-preacher.
He actually came towards me and he started speaking.
Yeah, I saw you speaking, so I thought I'd come and join in, as I did back then.
Yeah. And he came and he then we had a nice convo, and then after that we made... Well, we'll go into that afterwards. Now coming to our brother Kevin, he can give us a little... So the question is, what made you look into Islam, or did someone give you that, or did you just think of it yourself? What's...
Well, I was brought up in a kind of multi-religion background. So in my house I was raised a Hindu, but not strict.
Okay.
But we had the practices, and we were doing, like Diwali, going to the temple a lot. But then I also had some people in my family are Christian, so I had that influence as well.
Okay.
Was it like a clash at any time that,
No, there's kind of like I remember like going to like the temple kind of every week, but then Christmas, Easter, I'd also be at the church.
Okay. So it's like a mixture of
Yeah, and
sections.
as a kid, you just go along.
You
was
wasn't
like a
fixated
culture-
on anything kind of thing. You wasn't
But-
fixated on one.
I liked Christianity more.
It made more sense.
It made more sense to me.
It places the fifth round one. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, and then I think sort of when I started puberty and I was year 9, year 10, so about 14, 15 years old. Started looking into philosophy. I was quite interested in that. Read Plato's The Cave, but I'm not. I think at that age I couldn't fully appreciate it. But I had all these ideas about God and wanted to find him. And I initially, through that journey, found Buddhism, which is a
Was
bit
that
weird.
natural? So you're saying you wanted to look for God. Was that natural, or was that like
Put into you, did someone say you need to do this? Or was it in inner...
I didn't tell anyone about this, like
Okay,
because
so
I was
it's
just
your journey.
thinking about this. So I'd always believed in God. Like I always thought that there was a God.
And it being one God, was that natural for yourself?
Being a force of some kind.
being okay? Yeah, makes sense.
I
Yeah.
knew that there was
Higher
something,
power. There was a higher power. That's what you believed
Yeah.
in, isn't it?
which didn't fit into the Hindu ideology. So yeah, I believed in that. But then, as I started looking into religious practices and things, I actually found Buddhism. But the only thing that I didn't like about Buddhism was that there's no God, and I couldn't.
It's a way of
explain-
life rather than a religion, isn't it?
Yeah, I couldn't explain that. Everything I wanted to explain or have explained to me.
Mhm.
And just living in an Indian household, being raised, I had that kind of, as in my parents never enforced it, but there was that kind of residual dislike towards Pakistanis and Muslims. Just like not
Cultural.
even, yeah, my parents wouldn't even say it, but it was just kind of, I was raised up with those ideals kind of
Mhm.
embedded in me.
Mm.
But and also grew up in quite a white neighborhood as well. Didn't know many Asians.
Mhm.
And then
So you would have had a mix of your Hindu culture, Christian culture, and secularism as well, isn't it? Like liberal friends and all that as well. Probably most likely atheists or Christians.
Yeah,
even.
I actually didn't
Pay
know. I
attention to
didn't
it.
really know any Muslims before I went to secondary school. Pretty much,
Which secondary school did you go to?
King Edward's.
King
West
Edward's,
Western. Yeah, and then it's actually I went to secondary school with a person from my primary school. It was just us two in a class, and he actually is Muslim,
Okay.
and he's actually the one that brought me to Islam.
Really?
later on.
SubhanAllah,
Yeah.
bless him, man. Look
Yeah.
at the rewards he's getting
Yeah,
right now,
yeah.
mashallah, man.
But as in, I didn't. He was one of the maybe like 2 or 3 Muslims that I'd like known in my whole life.
Oh, so you didn't even know many Muslims before
No.
this?
Didn't.
What was it about that brother that brought you closer to Islam? Did he, what I mean was, did he actually try to give you Islam, or was it just his character and the way he was, or
It's
just your curiosity?
We were literally just chilling one day, and he says, "I'll need to go pray." Which I thought that was weird. Like, it didn't strike me as a religious guy, and
Okay.
we were quite young, so the religion wasn't really important to.
What age were you talking, like 14, 15 years old?
14, about 14, yeah. I said, okay, I'll come to. So I went Jummah. At my school.
You went with
Did
him?
you know what Jummah
Yeah.
was at the time?
No idea.
No, okay.
Didn't know anything about it. We used to, me and my friends at school, we used to call each other Muslim as an insult. Like,
Really?
also,
Okay.
yeah.
Wow.
See, when we were like 12, 13,
Mm.
whatever. But yeah, I just went with him. He said, look, I just got to pray. And we got it, and we were chilling after, so he's like, just come with me, just sit there for a bit.
Just before you continue, you said he wasn't a religious guy. So what was it that made him want to pray at that time?
No, he didn't strike me as a religious guy.
Okay.
We didn't, like, religion wasn't something we talked
So
about.
he wouldn't talk about it
I'm
often.
guessing because it
Yeah.
was Jummah, a lot of Muslims don't
Yeah.
miss, even if they don't come across religious, Jummah they don't miss. At least
Okay,
they don't miss
okay.
Yeah.
Jummah. So,
Yeah.
okay.
So,
That
yeah,
makes sense, yeah.
we went, and I think we were running late, and we just made it for the salah, and that's it. And the room was like quite small, so there was nowhere for me to sit on the side while everyone was praying.
So you joined in?
So he said, just come,
Okay.
just come and pray. And I said, well, I don't know what I'm doing. He said,
Mhm.
just
Follow
follow.
actions.
And I did, and then I left, and I didn't really think about it. But then like there was a party for Eid, like our school did. They invited someone to talk. They gave food out, etc. So I went
Was
to
the food
that.
nice?
It's Big John's.
Okay, it was alright then. He doesn't know that.
Went to that, and someone gave a talk, and just listened to that talk. You know what? I can't even remember what was said, but I just remember that having a massive impact on me, and it relating to a lot of the things that I felt when I was praying, even though I didn't think about it again. And I just
You was experiencing something which you couldn't explain at the time. Now you think back about it, you know.
I
makes
felt
more sense,
that
doesn't it?
connection with Allah, but I didn't know at that time. And I remember one of my mates coming up to me and saying, you know, like, how are you finding it? And I just
The same friend.
No, a different friend who had just seen at the Eid party, and I remember saying, I'm going to become Muslim, but without even, I didn't even realise I'd said it until I said it.
Really? Wow.
And then
So as though we call it the fitrah, the natural disposition of a human is Islam. It's one God. So that spoke for you basically, and then your mind sort of tuned
Spiritual
in with it afterwards.
Yeah,
So subhanallah.
can't really. As in now, I can kind of piece together what was happening, but at the time, like, and plus it was going against the grain as well. And you know, when you're a teenager, you want to do everything opposite to what everyone says.
100%. Yeah, you're right, man.
So, yeah, I just.
Okay, I got a question for both of you. This is I'll start off with our brother Kane, and be honest with this. What did you think of Muslims before you sort of integrated or maybe met them or seen what Islam really is? What image did they give? And you could be open about this, right? Because this is for us to learn how we interact with, or what image we give off when
I really don't know how to answer that, to be honest.
For example, before you reverted, what age did you go into Christianity properly? I want to ask you even before
About
that.
18.
Okay, so before that, what sort of feeling would you get when you'd hear Muslims?
To be honest, nothing really. I didn't really
Shall I
think
make it
about
easier
it.
for you? I make it easier
Not
for you.
gonna lie.
I started practicing about 7-8 years ago, right?
Hmm.
And I had like a bad background, you know, as some of you might know, right? I had a bad background. So when I started practicing, my family, when they see me in a mosque and a juba and I started praying 5 times a day, they were like, are you going to become a terrorist? And what's happened to you all of a sudden overnight? So even like Muslims, they had this negative,
Unfortunately,
you know, this feeling towards, you know, someone who's come practicing towards Islam. So I can only imagine what it's like for someone who was a Christian.
Before I was Christian, I really didn't know anything about it.
Okay, so you didn't really, and then you never sort of thought about it alone, thinking, what are these Muslims about? Okay. So how about
Not
yourself?
gonna lie.
Like, what was your, like you did say in school, people used to call people Muslims as an insult, but what did you, as growing up, think?
It's what was on TV.
Okay.
You know, terrorism.
So how old
Meaning
are you now?
Okay,
24 now.
24 now, so you would have grown up in the 9/11 era, isn't it? Is that when you was going to school? Primary school?
No, it's more the 7/7 bombings.
Okay.
That was,
Okay, it's big, man. So obviously I remember around those times and that, you know what I mean, and being Muslims and that, and being on social media in those times was hard, man. I remember anywhere you used to go, it's just like, oh, you're a terrorist. You know?
Yeah, that's what it was. So that's why I just wanted to know, because there may be a lot of non-Muslims, inshallah, who watch this, and for them to like sort of, it'll open their mind that let's look into it, because I think a lot of people don't even take that step. They're just like, no, I've made my mind up. That's not for me.
Like on social media, for example, and that, so many Muslims are scared of having, you know, the name Muhammad or Ahmed or Osama or anything like that, any kind of affinity with Islam, and they change their names to like John or Jacob or anything like a non-Muslim name. Why? Because they know that people will see them differently. They won't see them as Muslims. They'll get more business, or they won't be looked down upon, or they won't be called terrorists. So this is like, you know, this is how a lot of Muslims are feeling. So I can only imagine what, you know, non-Muslims were thinking of Muslims if this is how certain Muslims were feeling. You know what I mean?
How about your family members? What was their reactions? So start off with yourself.
When
you reverted, what was the
my mum and dad's reaction was very basic. You know, I didn't get a strong reaction.
Okay.
But they kind of trust me because they know I study. So obviously I went into teaching them, you know, explaining why.
Okay, so nobody in your family got negative or bitter over it, would you say? Because you're lucky if that never happened.
You've basically gone from like one extreme to the other extreme, meaning like you were actively preaching for Christianity.
Yeah.
So you weren't just like a normal Christian that was just going about their business, going about their life. That was just...
I was a full-on man.
He was actively going out there. So from someone to be from that position and do a complete 180 and become a Muslim, one, that takes like something big, like something, do you know what I mean? And then like, so I'm sure your Christian friends would have been like, what's happened? Like, how have you just all of a sudden changed your mind, changed your decision? How can you turn your back? Like, did you get any sort of backlash?
To be honest, I left Christianity before I come to Islam.
Oh, so you left?
Yeah. They wasn't thrilled to hear that I was Muslim.
Yeah. I remember you put up that one Facebook post, and that's what they was all commenting. Remember?
Hundreds.
I remember you had like
400
something comments, and I was trying to read from. I was like, whoa, man! And some of those comments were like essays. You know what I mean? I was like, wow. Because the truth is, you had an impact on these people.
Definitely,
which is the reason why they're so emotional about you becoming a Muslim. And I remember some of them saying, "Oh, you're a traitor," and you know, and you've lost the Holy Ghost, and all these. It's funny, like, you know, some of the comments were funny, and some of them are deep as well, because you can see some of these people, they seem sincere, but they seem like
they can't think outside.
Yeah, they can't think outside.
They've
very
been told
close-minded.
Very close-minded. You know what I mean? But they seem sincere that they want to be close to God. They want to be practicing people. So,
and you know, the beauty in Islam is we say, well, the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam hadith, which I paraphrase, that two people never learn: a shy person and an arrogant person. Shy because if we're shy, right, you're just not going to ask because we're shy.
ask questions.
And an arrogant person because he thinks, why should I ask? I know it all, right? But the beauty of Islam is, I think it was Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu who said this, that half of knowledge is in the question itself. Subhanallah. So we encourage questioning, but with certain religions, it's like you can't question past this stage.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're sort of like, I don't know, you're betraying the religion. So that's one thing. But were there any Christians who seen you change and then the mind opened a bit, the hold up from a preacher to this? Surely you can't. Do you understand?
There's one or two people that kind of understand it, because there's a lot of gossip that goes on in churches and, you know, that kind of environment in modern Christians. But there was one person who defended me behind my back to them. I think I even told you
as
about
a Christian
it.
one, the one that do
you remember?
Yes.
Yeah. So basically, some people were speaking about it, you know, saying, "Oh, I'm going from this to that to this to that," trying to, you know.
Okay, like basically jumping boats every second. Okay.
But he said to them, basically, he was like, well, not really. He's left Christianity because he doesn't feel it fits in with Torah, and then he's accepted Islam because he feels it fits in with Torah. And that's a Christian saying that behind my back to other Christians. So, you know.
Okay, and that's holding more truth.
That's very respectful.
Because the truth is, you actually did. Meaning you were sincere, because let's be honest, when you're on a public stage, for you to leave, it takes sincerity, because a lot of people will be like, well, you just left. You were telling me yesterday that this is the truth, and today you've just run away yourself. And you understand, like, meaning a person can then also think that,
I can almost understand it, to be honest, you know, like why they'd see it like that.
Yeah, exactly, because then they're going to think, tomorrow whatever I preach, believing being the truth, someone will say, but how do I not know you're not going to leave? You know, people take these digs and whatnot. So the fact that someone left from that all the way to, you know, that just shows you, mashallah, sincerity. And there will be so many people out there who probably see this and it motivates them that, you know what, if he can do it from there to there, why can't I? Because you got to love truth more than life. You know what I mean? This is the only way we get to the truth. We can't sort of just, you know what, everyone's going to, I've got 100,000 followers, they're all going to say the guy's left. Doesn't matter.
Gotta do your thing,
right?
You gotta learn both sides. That's what it's done.
Say again?
You gotta learn both sides.
Both sides, exactly.
Like we can't refute Christianity or whatever faith without knowing about it. We can't just blindly say Islam is the truth without knowing other things.
Exactly. 100%. So you growing up, did you always believe in God?
I always believed in God, yeah. So like when I was a kid, my mum, mashallah, she used to read me Bible stories, but Old Testament Bible stories. So, you know, like Noah, Jonah, Moses, things like that.
So the Old Testament is more towards Unitarianism, isn't it?
So say again, sorry.
So you know in the Old Testament, right? Because obviously you got the Old Testament and the New Testament.
Yeah.
So with the Old Testament, you've got more scripture about one God, isn't it?
Yeah, it's monotheistic.
More monotheistic.
But the New Testament is very like, it's polytheism basically, isn't it?
Trinitarianism, isn't it? Okay, so if she was reading you those stories, then
It was just a book. It just happened to not have any New Testament ones included. So you know what I mean.
Mashallah, man.
Alhamdulillah. But so I always believed in a God, and obviously I had some inclination towards Abrahamic religion. You know, because it was Old
So
Testament
it was
stories.
sort of, you could say, natural from.
Fitra.
Like even if
Yeah.
your mother didn't give you these stories, how would your mindset be? Would it, because naturally we believe a child believes in God naturally, right? That meaning, if you throw something in front of a child, yeah, from behind, he'll look back to see where it came from. You know, we have that intellectual sort of capacity to be like, okay, it's come from somewhere. Whereas what some people are pushing nowadays is like, you're born an atheist, you're just brainwashed into religion, right?
Yeah.
Whereas what we say is, no, you're born a believer in Allah. You're brainwashed into whatever belief system it is after that. So do you feel that even if your mother didn't sort of read them stories, what would you be? Would you just believe I came out of nothing? Would that?
I don't think I'd have believed that, but then again, I don't really know because she
probably
did
have-
read them. But
Yeah, fair
but,
point.
I
Yeah,
did
can't
believe
really
in God
take it out
though.
there.
Even before that, I think I can't really remember to be honest. But
Okay. How about yourself? Like, how would you think your mindset would be if?
I think any human is naturally inquisitive. I
Mm.
think it's just an innate desire to kind of understand the world around you, and I didn't think that everything that we experience could come from nothing, and I think that's one of the things that once I accepted Islam, then trying to understand it kept me within it.
Did you ever go through a phase like, you know, what you just said, that you didn't expect something to come from nothing, right? Everything around us come from nothing. So you never ever went through like an atheistic phase where you started questioning, is there a God or anything like that?
I think with my own reasoning, even if I did have those inklings, like it always just came back to, there must be, like, you look at, you know, the thousands or millions of animals in the world, and each of them is developed into, you know, adapting to their surroundings, and you just think, okay, not all of, you can't explain all of these with evolution. It just doesn't work.
Is science one of your favourite subjects?
I tried to explain things
Through science,
yeah.
But did you
then
enjoy it as a youngster?
I like more social sciences.
Okay.
Understanding. I did sociology at uni, so understanding, you know, how,
Okay, yeah, fair enough, man.
you know, that kind of works.
Okay.
It's in it, yeah.
So how was it? This is for both of you, one by one, inshallah. How was the sort of the change? Was it difficult to come from one belief system to the other, or what, did it just fit in perfectly for yourself first?
I mean, I feel like I'm still going through the change.
Okay.
Is that
As in core belief wise, not the sort of what would you call it, the secondary, you know, like the way you have
Practice.
you might be talking about all the differences of opinion, and not that, I mean the actual belief, one God, heaven, Jannah, Jahannam, angels, afterlife, like that. Was that easy to
those things
change
came
towards, or?
as time went on because
Okay.
I didn't know about them.
Mm.
So I just kind of like, and I know that people would advise against this, but I just kind of went head first into Islam, and then I kind of learned about all of these things afterwards.
So both of your stories are kind of similar, mashallah, man, like, because you've had people who were like kind of keeping you away from Islam in a sense, you know what I'm trying to say, but both of you just went in for the kill, if you can say, you know what I'm trying to say. And as you went in for the kill, you saw it for yourself, and that's when it become firm, isn't it? Alhamdulillah, man.
How about
So,
yourself?
alhamdulillah.
The belief, was it easy to?
To be honest, yeah, it was easy because I didn't go straight into Islam. Like I said,
Okay, yeah,
I
you
left
first left,
Christianity.
yeah.
Well, I first come to Christianity,
Yeah.
then left
Yeah.
it, went to Torah.
Mm.
So wait, before Christianity, what was it?
Well, if you think about it, it's kind of Torah,
Yeah.
but then I kind of left Torah to go to Christianity, then come back to Torah, left Christianity,
Okay.
then through Torah found
So
Islam.
you're going through, so you're basically, you were searching for the truth, isn't it? Like, we're not really gonna, I wouldn't say that you left one and went to another and went to another. I'm just gonna say that you were
You were
going,
searching for the truth.
you were going through the
basically.
phases until you found
Yeah, definitely the final
Mm, the
revelation.
the correct path.
And
Alhamdulillah.
you know why is it, like, we'll notice this a lot, yeah? You don't see people leaving Islam. Right? Very rarely. And
Because
if you,
it's so logical.
do you understand? Like, meaning you see people leaving all different religions and coming to Islam. It's the most, you know, it's the religion that people accept the most. But the point here is, you know, for some people who just think these people are brainwashed and they just accept Islam. But the question is, why would people not leave? Even from born Muslims and from people who come into Islam, why is it we don't see them leave, and why is it that they have this special sort of attachment to the religion? And the only way, how would you answer this? What would you say to someone?
I see a lot of this on social media. Like, there are people leaving Islam,
Yeah, they are,
unfortunately, but
but very less compared to
the ones that do never stop talking about it.
But they don't.
They
The thing
identify
is,
themselves as being
Yeah.
ex-Muslim.
Okay, yeah.
They're always talking about Islam.
but what do they know about Islam is the question.
That
Before
meaning
they
that
left-
lady in town that said to
Yeah.
us she left Islam, that I'm guessing if you were to put her in a video, right, she'd be like, yes, I was a Muslim, I left Islam. But I personally, I wasn't convinced that she was actually a Muslim or she learned the Quran, because she claimed she read the Quran in 30 days, and she understood the whole Quran. You know, to understand the Quran, we have how many tafasir, how many
to read it in
commentaries.
30 days, forget
To read the
about
Quran
it,
in itself in 30 days, right? Because you know it's
Oh,
high level Arabic. It's like nowadays you give someone Shakespeare to read and you say, have one read and tell me is it right or wrong. He'll be like, no, I need help of dictionary, you know, and I need all of this because these words are not even used in our daily English. This is the Quran 1400 years ago, the
Was it
Arabic.
in English as
pure.
well? The one
She was reading in English
Probably,
anyway.
yeah.
So
So
a lot of meanings.
I just found it a bit hard to believe. Allah knows best, but meaning when we were asking her Arabic, does she know Arabic? Read Surah Fatiha. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. The first thing we learned, right? Wasn't that the first?
Yeah.
No. So
What she didn't know.
she didn't.
It's
She
one of
didn't,
those,
she
isn't
didn't
it?
know the surahs or anything that we know as Muslims. But okay, she could say I only became a Muslim for a month. That's why. But the point is, did you understand it? So with these people who leave Islam, the question is, either they're people who didn't know anything about it, someone just grabbed them and told them lies, fabrications, right, and emotionally sort of captured them. Where now, no matter how good the proof is, where you're explaining, no, look. For example, when it comes to issues like war in Islam, they make it look like Muslims are extreme and whatnot, but they don't realize that, okay, we're not pacifists in Islam, we're not pacifists if someone, meaning we don't turn the other cheek, even though like with a lot of Christians, you can see that, will they apply that in daily life? Is it applicable right now? If you go slap every Christian preacher and say, turn your other face, I need to slap you there as well. Would it really happen, right? So that you can question. But in Islam, we have this rule that you can defend yourself. But they make it look like us defending ourselves is all extremism. You see? Why they're doing that for? Because they've sort of... So, most of these people have been sort of emotionally locked into this mindset where it's like, that's it, it's bad. So no matter how hard we try that, look, it's not like this. In the Quran, that verse that's misquoted in Surah Tawbah, that kill all the non-believers wherever you see them, which I'm sure everybody has heard this, right? And you probably heard it from not an imam, from a hater of Islam, right? So the thing is, you have to continue the context, of course, but you have to continue reading. Now, I'm paraphrasing, but Allah says, this is war. When you're in war, you kill the enemy. Like, no one goes and hugs the enemy, right?
Which general's not going to
This is when the treaty was broken.
And the treaty, yeah, there's a background to it. The treaty was broken. But the point is, who goes to the opposition who's ready to kill them and say, you're right there, give me a hug? Meaning, you're fighting, of course, the command's going to be, kill them wherever you see them. But then it continues that if they seek asylum, if they surrender, then take them to a place of
their safety.
Security, safety. But you know what this also means? This also means, for example, now, yeah, I'm on the battlefield. Someone in front of me. I'm about to kill him. I'm on top of him, I'm about to kill him. He's killed my mother, my whole family, my father, my children, everything. And I'm on top of him, I'm about to kill him. And guess what he says? I surrender. My Lord tells me, in this same surah that they quote, that now you have to pick him up and take him to a place of security. Someone might think, but he killed all my family. The point is, Islam is not your personal fight. Like on this point, Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu, the cousin of the Messenger, the famous story where in war, he was on top of the Jew, he was about to kill him, the Jew spat in his face, and Sayyidina Ali left him. And the Jew said, what are you doing? Like, you know, what's this? He said, look, when I was first killing you, it was for the sake of Allah. But when you spat on my face, there was a fear that it might get personal, that I'm killing you for out of the hatred that you spat on my face. So I don't kill for other than the sake of Allah. That Jew got up and he said the Shahada. right? So this is the beauty of Islam. Who in war has these principles? We're not allowed to cut trees down, right? You cannot kill a child, a woman, an old man,
Priests.
right? A worshipper. So no one really says this, but we have to take them to a place of safety. Isn't that one of the most merciful verses? The person has killed your father, your brother, your sister, everyone. You're about to kill him. All he says is, I surrender. He doesn't say, I become a Muslim. Bear in mind. So meaning how much personal, what would you call it, loss are you taking in leaving that person? He's killed your mother, your brother, your whole family. And it's like, I have to take him to a place of safety just because he said surrender. So what people do is they get these verses of the Quran and they, misquote them without context. And they say, this
Use
is what
English as well.
and they use English as well.
We're going back to the point, right? You were saying that, a lot of these ex-Muslims, they get emotionally connected or emotionally taken away, isn't it? But then you got the other extreme as well, which is the people whose desires are just so strong, just don't want to be locked in, in Islam, basically, because Islam, obviously, we have laws and ethics, isn't it? And morals. They just don't want to live by that. They just want to be free. They want to be like animals, mate whoever they want, just do whatever they want, basically. They don't want rules and regulations upon them. But what they don't understand is the one who created us has created us to live within laws and regulations. Does that make sense? We're created in a way that if we don't live within these laws and regulations, it harms us, it destroys us. And if you look at society today, that's exactly what's happening. But then, you've got the atheists who are saying, no, we don't need God's laws and regulations because we've got our own. But then that's subjective, isn't it?
Why are yours okay to follow?
Yeah. Or why Hitler's okay to follow? He had subjective laws as well. You know what I'm trying to say? He had a society, they were a community. Why wasn't it okay to follow theirs? You know what I'm trying to say? Why wasn't it okay to follow anyone else in the past?
Right,
Why only today?
how old were you when you first reverted to Islam?
Just before I turned 15, I think, 14.
Okay. So did you not at any point think all the stuff that I want to do, go out and mess about, as a kid you do these things, that I'm going to stop these things and I'm going to fully dedicate myself to Islam? Or was it like, what made you take the plunge and take your shahada?
It was just a journey into more practicing, I didn't even know what a proper Muslim was.
Okay.
Because I had my Muslim friends who were, not... they also live in this society and they were obviously subjected to all the things that everyone's subjected to. And as much as they helped me, they needed help as well. But a lot of them, have... The parents are immigrants, they've come here and it's strict, everything. You've got to do this. Islam says this. Why? Islam. Without explaining anything to them. And I've got mates who, when I met them, were Muslim, and I know I'm not Muslim. But one thing they all have in common is they all have respect for the religion. They just don't have respect for the way that they were raised, with that being the argument for it. And when you're a child, you build these resentments and attachments, and they're hard to get rid of.
Yeah, because
emotion.
Emotion is strong. People need to understand that it overtakes the intellect. Most of the times, it overtakes the intellect. So you're saying these guys left Islam? Or practicing, sorry.
Some of them left, but I think a lot of people our age, they're Muslims, brought up Muslim, have a bit of time to, enjoy this life, whatever, or they, make those decisions, and they will come back. And I do that as well.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Subhanallah.
And I'm still coming back because that's what we're doing. That's what life is. You're going back to how you were, trying to get back to that pure state you were when you were born.
So how long has it been since you've been practicing now?
What would you regard as practicing?
Trying.
What is that?
Just consciously trying. Because no one's when we say practicing, we don't want people thinking perfection. No one can gain perfection. Just consciously trying.
The word is practicing, as a lot of people hear the word practicing and they think, you gotta be like it's gotta be here, and you gotta be fully on it. Practicing means just making a conscious effort. Just like, how long have you been? You said you've been interested since a young age, right? When you reverted when you was 14 or 15, I think it was. Since then, obviously, you must have been going through phases, getting closer to Islam, isn't it? And then obviously, you may even have had doubts. I'm not sure. Obviously, you would know better. You may even have had doubts in between, because of the people around you and family and that kind of thing. So if you just shed some light on that, maybe, you know what I mean?
I think when I first reverted, I burnt out in the sense that like I learned how to pray to what I thought was the minimum requirement, and that was it. Like I was like on job with my prayers, and I had, you know, there's just things that I was just like, nah, music, haram, can't do that, can't do this, can't do that, just because of.
Did you have anyone to guide you? Well, anyone to, like, now you were saying music is haram. How was you finding this information? What was it?
Shake Google.
Shake YouTube as well, yeah.
Yeah.
YouTube was
That's,
Google.
I don't know. I didn't want to ask. I just thought, you know what? Like, let me go on Google. Let me go on the most official looking website. Let me go on there and yeah. No, and it was like a long. Alhamdulillah, I don't think I've had doubts.
Alhamdulillah.
But I didn't know what was right, and I just was doing things that I thought was.
What made you not want to ask?
I just felt like stuff that I should know. Like everyone, you know, like all my Muslim mates, they gone to like madrasa growing up, and they all know how to read the Quran if they don't understand it and things like that. They all just like knew how to pray, and like when you pray, you don't say everything out loud. You don't do everything like completely openly. So I just assumed it was knowledge that I should know. I was embarrassed, but like, and that's probably why I didn't learn Arabic for a long time, because I just.
You may have felt like that, yeah, but if you go to a lot of masjids up and down the country or around the world, remember when we was in Morocco, how old was that man? Remember when they were teaching Quran to the youngsters?
Oh yes, subhanallah.
How old was that man that was learning Quran?
He was a good, like,
Probably
60 or something.
60, 70 plus years old, and that, yeah, very elderly, you know what I'm trying to say? And he was learning from an imam who was probably in his 40s, 50s maybe. And he was there like 60, 70 years old, mashallah, full white beard.
So he had kids on one side.
He had kids on one side, elderly on the other side. And with so much passion they were learning, they never felt embarrassed, you know what I'm trying to say? So this is something that we need to
work on as a
community.
We
need to break this
thing.
Yeah, it's a like you said, the arrogant and the shy can't learn. So one is shy and one is the arrogance part.
Because when you said like when did you start practicing, I would say about in the last year or so, because I've come to a masjid that people just accept me for who I am. I can literally anyone, even if I've never met him before, can just go and ask him, you know, a question about this and that. And even if they don't know, they won't try and answer it. They'll just point you to someone that does know. And now, since I've come there, I started learning Arabic. I started filling out all the gaps in my prayers that I thought I knew everything. So it's been, so kind of that first few months and then the last year, I think everything in between was like, I was ticking off going to Jummah, fasting when I could. Like, it's a bit difficult in my house to fast, but and that was it.
You know what, after that point, you made a very good point there. Is not just for non-Muslims, it's also for Muslims. What happens is, when someone walks in the masjid, what people do is, they see his dress code. Yeah, small beard, even if he's got 3/4 or shorts, or whatever it is, right? And they box him in this sort of, this guy's like, he's not really, meaning I won't meet him with that same love I'd meet a guy who came with a thobe and beard and tasbih in his hand. You know, we do this naturally as humans, let's be honest, we judge people. Right? It just happens naturally. And then Islam tells us to put that to a side and, you know, be open-minded. But the thing is, this happens to a lot of people. When they go to the masjid, they're trying to pray right now because they've been told prayer is something you cannot miss. So imagine they're going with an earring on or whatever sort of thing. And what our usually elderly do, right? May Allah bless them. And even some, you know, youngsters, they have this attitude of, what, look at him. But they don't realize that, look, not everyone changes overnight. When the Sahaba radiallahu anhum used to give da'wah, and if someone's a alcoholic, after saying the shahada, or before in fact, they wouldn't say, by the way, you got to stop drinking straight away. Because they know that, look, shaitan comes in so many different ways. If they tell him before he reverts, by the way, you got to stop drinking, as a non-Muslim he's thinking, I can't leave this. But they don't realize, what people don't realize is, once iman enters the heart, now he's thinking as a Muslim, he himself will be like, I don't want to do this. But what we do is, our people, they push people away straight away.
I got a quick story on this, and I heard it the other day, right? There was this a man, he's in his mid to late 30s, he's probably 36, 37 years old, right? And he had his spiritual enlightenment at this stage, 36, 37. This is when he started practicing Islam, really got into it, and Like he was in his 5-time prayers, he's fasting on Mondays and Thursdays, he's doing everything basically. His beard come out real quick, you know, he's wearing the tobes, and like he was stopped listening to music, stopped watching movies, the lot. Mashallah, you know, pious man at that time. The issue for him was he wanted his family to keep up with him, and obviously he raised his kids up, I wouldn't say not as non-Muslims, but liberal-minded, secular-minded, same as his missus, you know what I'm trying to say. So they've spent their whole lives, more or less, last 15, 20 years growing up like that. Now he's finding spiritual enlightenment. They can't keep pace with him, so he's getting angry. Like he's getting angry, my wife's not praying, my kids are not praying. Like he's frustrated. Okay, you're on the right path now, mashallah. Yeah, you're praying and you're doing your thing, and he's feeling frustrated at why they're not keeping up with me. I want them to be Jannatis as well. So he went to a mufti in another country, right? Some big mufti, and he asked that mufti, and he said, Mufti, look, you know, my family's not praying. I don't know what to do about it. You know what I'm trying to say? I feel like really, really bad. Like I just can't get along with them anymore at the time, because everything they do is just, it hurts, and everything they do just makes me angry at the same time. You know what I mean? So then the mufti asked him, okay, so at what age did you start practicing? The man said at 36 years old, and that, yeah. So the mufti said, it took you 36 years to become what you are right now, right? It took you 36 years to find your place in Islam. He goes, it took you 36 years, and you think it's going to take them 36 minutes to find their place in Islam. Give them time as well. Give them time as well. So this is why when a lot of non-Muslims come towards Islam, like I personally tend not to push everything on them, because what that's going to do is it's going to overwhelm them. As you guys might know, it's going to overwhelm them, and then they're going to find it difficult going forward. Whereas if they take it step by step, slowly but surely, like yourself, for example, you took it step by step, didn't you? Alhamdulillah, right now, mashallah, you're doing very well. Same as you can, you're doing really well, do you know what I mean? But imagine you came straight in and like everything was thrown at you. You know what I mean? Every single thing, you would have been like, oh, I can't do this, man.
And for those who give da'wah, what we mean is, that doesn't mean we don't give him the fara'id.
Yeah, we give him.
Because some people might get too relaxed, like, let him miss his prayers, let him do this as well, let him, meaning give him the fard at least. Because there's a hadith, a paraphrase, the Messenger ﷺ said, "O Sahaba, if you were to miss 10% of the deen, which is like the voluntary things, you could say, you'd be questioned on the Day of Judgment. But a time will come where, if the Ummah acts upon just 10%, and leaves 90%, they'll be forgiven." And this 10%, the scholars say, this is the fara'id, the obligatory things, right? Because think about the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, what they used to do is like a different level. They used to like, you know, subhanallah. But so what we should do with reverts is give them the fara'id. So look, focus on this first. Your salah, number one. You know, study your aqidah, your fard fiqh. Later you can get them into, for example, fasting on Mondays and Thursdays. It's not, I'm just saying that's not fard. If you make them feel that I have to do this to be a practicing Muslim, the day they leave that, they'll also leave other things with it, because they think, oh, I'm not practicing anyway.
It's the same with Muslims as well.
Same with it, exactly.
Yeah.
It applies.
But they want to get back to practicing, or even if they've started doing something that makes them want to leave Islam.
Yeah.
I'd say like they started, you know, drinking or something.
Yeah.
And they're like, I can't be Muslim.
They'll get a whisper, of...
Yeah.
Mashallah, you guys are doing the Fard al-Ain course right now, ain't you?
Oh, barak.
When the teachers
Mashallah. So anyways, coming back to us, when we sort of departed and exchanged numbers, what happened after that?
You messaged me a while
yes.
after, I can't remember how long.
Probably about a year, roughly a year.
And you're just like, who's this?
Yeah, because I seen
And I just had an unrecognised number. And I was like, it's
basically,
Kane,
I had Kane saved in my phone, but I had no idea who this Kane was. So obviously, naturally, I was like, who's this? And I get a reply back saying, Kane, who's this? So I thought, okay, this is gonna, you know. But eventually, we sort of figured it out.
Yeah.
Oh, we were debating in town. So then I was like, okay, we should hook up sometime. And then my fault, I didn't really make contact.
Wait,
Don't say
were you a
hook up,
Muslim
innit?
at this point?
Meet up, same thing.
No.
So at this point you were still a Christian, or have you left
I
Christianity?
was still a Christian, I think.
Okay.
When I messaged you the first time,
I
I
was
think.
Christian.
Then I think about a couple of months later on Facebook we made.
I think it was
Contact.
longer than a couple of months. Oh, on Facebook, yeah.
So it was a message after like a year, and then probably a month or two later, I added you on Facebook. I think I've seen your name. By that time, you had left, I think.
Kane Bannister.
Because
think
a
so.
week in, so basically, I messaged him. And then we had a little convo. Then we left it there, and then on Facebook I found him. I think I added him. I must have added him, and then he was just looking at my posts. I was looking at your posts, right? So, anyways,
Sourcing
Then-
each other, right?
Friends,
Sourcing each other, right? That's what
Yeah,
they're doing.
then you messaged me with that message of, look, I've left Christianity, I've gone to the Old Testament, and I've still got that message. MashaAllah, I remember it was, I think, 26th or 7th December, something like that.
Mm.
But anyways, then I said to you, it was a Thursday night, I said, look, I'm going to the masjid on Friday, which is tomorrow, I'll come pick you up. And then he came to the masjid and spoke to the sheikh, asked his questions, one-to-one. Alhamdulillah, took his shahada, so
What, on that same day?
Alhamdulillah.
on the same day, yeah,
On
mashallah.
Friday, yeah.
Mashallah, on the same day.
Well, it might have been after 12, innit? But
It was probably, yeah, it's probably the date probably changed.
Within the 24 hours.
Within the 24 hours. So, and it was amazing because this taught me a lesson, I'll be honest with you. The lesson was, I was sort of walking past thinking, maybe these people won't change. You understand? Like, usually when you give da'wah to someone, it's like, they're interested, they're showing that, yeah, it makes sense. And we're like, but with the Christian sort of preachers, they're like, they've closed their brain towards you, their heart towards you. So you think, is there any use? But we should never think that. Because
Still remember you said, what did you say to...
oh yes, to Adnan, when I seen him first, I was like, Adnan, I see a Muslim in him. That just
That's
the
mad.
feeling inside me.
Before you even spoke to me,
Right,
innit?
before I spoke to him, because he was there with the mic preaching, and he had a little stubble, the beard was coming out, and I looked
Bro,
at
that
him.
hench beard back then.
Adnan, yeah, I got Adnan. He looks like a Muslim man, and alhamdulillah, you know.
Alhamdulillah.
So that was amazing. But so, what advice would you like give to people watching, to non-Muslims potentially, right? That sort of why look into Islam, or what should you get rid of first to look into Islam? What sort of mind frame? What advice would you give for someone out there thinking, okay, I'm interested in religion, but Islam, I don't know.
I would say study Islam, and because you'll see that there's no contradictions in it.
Subhanallah.
For me, that was a massive thing.
Subhanallah.
Obviously, coming from Christianity.
Okay, so study because there are no contradictions. So test it. There are so many people they have come to test Islam, and at the end they say the shahada and they go because no one's really looked into it. And you know something our Shaykh usually says is non-Muslims don't read the Quran or Hadith, they read you. So you have to be the best example of what the Quran and Hadith says, and that goes from little things, character and you know things like this. And what would you advise to people?
Just get rid of like any preconceptions that you have of Islam or of religion, and just you know, open your mind to everything. Like, even if something sounds ridiculous, goes against all logic, at least entertain the idea. Give everything its time, and don't be put off by things that you hear. Like, a lot of, like, unfortunately, like Islamic preachers that we see today or see on, you know, social media or whatever, are shouting at you, you know, you're gonna go to hell. Or, personally speaking, that's not really motivated me to do better in Islam. Might work for some people, but for me, it just makes me, even though I know that, like, you know, if I do something bad, like, I'm gonna get punished for it.
But you don't want someone to just say in like an arrogant way to you.
Someone
"But
just
you're going
shouts at you. You go
Balance,
like,
you want balances in it.
if someone says to you, if you do this, you're going to go to heaven, and in heaven there's going to be this, this, and this.
That motivates you more.
That makes me want to go towards it. But if someone like someone says, like, for example, I want to become Muslim, but I'm gay. I think a lot, even people our generation would say to them like, nah, you can't be a Muslim.
Exactly, and that's so wrong because
This is wrong.
it's a sin.
Yeah, unless
The way
it
someone-
goes against the father of Islam.
Unless he
then-
calls it permissible.
There you go.
It's like me, if I say I'm Muslim, but I believe drinking alcohol is permissible, I'm not a Muslim. Because I've called it halal when Allah has made it haram. So that's a good point. So how about pressure from friends? Because I think a lot of people, they're atheists, right? Now, atheists carry this sort of superior sort of thing that we are the intellectuals, right? Not all of them, but this religion is backwards, basically. We always hear this, so
The new atheists.
that's the new atheists. They're like, our religion is backwards. Who needs to follow religion, right?
Because they look at history and
They look at history and what's happened. So
But they don't look far back enough, though. They only look at recent
yeah,
history, which is the problem.
Yeah. But do you think people are pressured? For example, there's an atheist here. All his friends and family are atheists, right? They're following staunch atheism. For him to even, like, just say he gets that thought, hold up, it's not making sense. Maybe there is a God. Do you think he suppresses that thought? Because if he sort of says it, people around him were like, "What are you talking about? What are you doing? Are you stupid? You're going backwards." Do you think that has an effect, that influence?
Yeah, I think it can be a deterrent, but speaking from personal experience, obviously I had that backlash in my house of becoming Muslim. The only way it got accepted was that the lifestyle changes that my family saw in me, and maybe inshallah, maybe that opens their hearts. But like they're okay with me going to.
Inshallah.
Now they know that I go to the mosque and things like that, and they're okay with it because I've changed.
That though, you gotta maintain that, inshallah, and that's do the trick, inshallah.
How about
So are you the only Muslim within your household?
Yeah.
Okay.
How about yourself? Do you think influence is a big thing for people? Like, do they have to like absolutely just ignore that, then search?
Social
I
conditioning.
don't really
So
have
have you
any
not never had that
experience
sort
in
of-
that,
okay.
so-
But that's your personal connection with God. So, if you wanted to revert, you don't. If you truly intend to do something, you don't really go around, shouting about it.
Mm.
That's your connection first. And once you have that, if you just want to look into Islam or look into religion, and you choose to accept it, then you start telling people, because otherwise you just.
It comes down to
ridiculous.
social conditioning, though, isn't it? How your family treats you before and after, how you feel like, before you convert. Like, I remember a story. I was in Liverpool once, right? We were talking earlier about never judge a book by its cover. When you saw the ex-Christian preacher, you thought, if you had thought, he's never going to become a Muslim, you may never have approached him or the people that he was with. And today, maybe he would be a Muslim, but not through you. You know what I'm trying to say?
I wouldn't
He
get
would
the
have lost
reward.
all that reward.
Yeah.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And today he wouldn't be sitting here with us. God knows where he would be, man. But there's a story, right? And I was in the outskirts of Liverpool, and I was working for like a market research firm. I was knocking doors, and we were doing like surveys and stuff for the NHS and the police and stuff like that. And I think I've told you this story once before, and a guy opened the door, and he was a skinhead, big. No, it wasn't big. He was okay, quite a big guy, skinhead. Tattoos all over his head, tattoos on his face and his neck, everywhere else. Generally when you see that, you think this, wow, it's this guy, man. Probably looking at me, seeing red right now. Do you know what I mean? And that because I was the only Asian in the area. There's no Muslims around there, from what I saw. I was there for 3 days. And when you opened the door, I just felt like saying, sorry, wrong door, mate. Carrying along. But at the same time, I was working here, and it was £18 commission for a half an hour service. So I was like, you know what? We just try my luck, you know what I mean? And that we were offering £10 vouchers for these guys and that as well, yeah. So I thought, let me just ask him. So how you doing, mate? I'm working for the NHS on behalf of the NHS, and we're here. We're doing a survey, etc. And we offer you a £10 gift voucher if you do the survey with us. It takes about 20 minutes. And he was like, yeah, go ahead. Why not? So I started asking him the questions, and as I started asking the questions, he's like, you know what? Come inside. I thought to myself, I'm dead. Do I really want to be going inside this guy's house right now? You know what I mean? I'm lucky enough just to be standing here. I'm lucky to be alive right now. You know what I mean? In my head. So I was like, you know what? I was like, oh, no.
You were
like,
desperate. You needed that 18
I wanted that £80 commission, bro. You know what I mean? So I was about 6 years younger, man. So broke days. You know what I mean? You do what you need to do. So he asked me a few times, come inside, let's sit down properly and do this. So I thought to myself, that's 3 times now. Either he's going to kill me, or he's going to be the nicest guy in the world. Which one is it, you know what I mean? So I was like, alright, let's just go inside then. So I've gone inside, and it's like a room, like a living room. There's a flat, it's just one room and one bedroom. So in that room, we had 2 sofas, one facing that way, and one facing towards the kitchen and the front door. And I sat facing towards the kitchen and the front door, you know what I mean? Because I want to see I want to see my exits, you know what I mean? And that. So as soon as he's come inside the flat, I've sat down, I've looked back, and he's not there. And he's there like he's in the kitchen. And I'm thinking to myself, whoa, what's this guy doing in the kitchen? I'm really paranoid, you know what I mean? I'm flapping it at this point, you know what I mean? I'm like, what's he doing in the kitchen? All sorts going through my mind, and he's gone to get a knife. He's doing something. You know what I mean? And boiling the kettle of water and just hot water. I mean, something to do something. You know what I mean? And a skinhead, tattooed guy, man, looks like he's been a football fan.
All the signs are there.
All the signs are there, except for maybe 1 or 2, right? So I'm sitting there now, and I'm literally there for 5. But it could have been 2 minutes, but for all I know, I felt like I was there for 15, 20 minutes, bro. My heart was pounding. I was looking around for sharp objects just to defend myself. I was looking for an open window. It's the 3rd floor up here. I was looking for an open window, and I jumped out the window or whatever, yeah? So then, as we're doing this now, he's come inside, and he's carrying like a tray, and he's got 3 cups of tea there. And just before he's come in, I'm just how paranoid I am, and I'm looking at the door, And remember I told you there's a sofa like just here towards the kitchen and the front door. A lady's there and she says hello. I swear to God, for that day, bro, I jumped up. I was like, looking around like, where did that voice come from? I didn't see it. I heard a voice, I didn't see it. I looked in the sofa carefully and she was proper sunk in the sofa.
All that time
I was there. 10 minutes, I'm concentrating in the kitchen, thinking, when's this guy gonna come and kill me, bro? You know what I mean? It's gonna be a war in here. Wow. She's there, she's probably looking at me thinking, why is he not saying hello? What's wrong with this guy? Wow. He's stupid or something.
Did you say hello? An old woman or something?
Yeah, it was an elderly lady. It was his mum, innit? He was probably in his 50s, she was probably in his 70s, 80s.
I think when he's bringing 3 cups of tea, I was thinking, who's that?
You know what I mean? So I was like, you know what I mean? She's like, hello, how are you? I was like, flapped it, man.
Wow.
Then he came in with his 3 cups of tea.
If you sat on top of her though.
You're lucky you chose it as well, man.
Oh man, bro, I was so scared, bro. And then he come with 3 cups of tea, and I was like, this is so weird. I've never experienced something like this in my life. So then he's come sat down. I never drank the tea. I can't lie to you. I never drank the tea. You know what I mean?
Because of poison now. Yeah,
I don't know what it was, bro. I just still paranoid. You know what I mean?
Did he even ask you if you wanted tea, or did you just make it?
He just made it and come inside in it. So I was like, I just know what. Okay, so don't know what he done in that. So as he's coming now, so I've done the survey with him. His mum's there. I'm cracking little jokes here and there. Now it's time to leave, and I'm thinking, you know what? Let me just leave quickly and get out of here. So he's escorting me out, and I thought, nice guy, man. Like, I totally judged this guy in the wrong way. Do you know what I mean? He's like a proper nice guy, innit, man?
But who would invite a random guy that's doing the survey inside to fit?
Exactly. So then you know what it is. So then obviously, our Sheikh and he has taught us whenever you meet non-Muslims and that, your aim is to make them Muslim one way or another. So as I was leaving, just before I left the door, a thought came into my mind. Why didn't you ask him if he wants to become a Muslim? Just ask him. What have you got to lose? You're never going to see him again. So I was like, you know what? Why not? You know what I mean? So I turned around and that, and I was like, I can't remember what his name was. I was like, mate, have you ever thought about becoming a Muslim? He was like, to my surprise, he was like, yeah, I have thought about it.
Subhanallah.
I was like, really? Like, you don't look like the type, you know what I mean? I'll be honest with you about that, you don't look like the type, you know what I mean? It's like, I've been to Turkey 2 or 3 times. Sorry, Dubai or Turkey, one of those there. Because the mosques are beautiful and the people are nice and friendly and this and that. I was like, really? So,
Subhanallah.
Why don't you become a Muslim then? So then he was like, you know what, my sisters, my brothers and everyone, it'll be like a big drama in the house and they'll never accept me and this and that. And I was like, look man, if you accept Islam, it's between you and God. You don't have to leave brothers and sisters, they don't need to know. It's between you and God, you do what you need to do you know what I mean? And just keep it as that. I had a little brief conversation with him, spoke for a few minutes and I was like, just become a Muslim man, you got nothing to lose. And then he was like, he got inspired, not from my words, just generally Allah must have inspired his heart. He was like, you know what, I don't care, I'm going to become a Muslim right now, I'm going to tell my brothers and I'm going to tell my sisters, I'm going to tell everyone and I'm just going to be a Muslim and I said the Shahada, they gave me a gift, gave me a hug and I left. But the one thing I didn't do and I really regret, I didn't take his number. You know what I mean? I didn't say, so now I don't know what is up to you, what's going on. Inshallah. Bro, I don't know where that was, that area was so scary, I'm not joking to you. It's like the outskirts of Liverpool. It's like a council estate and I'm going through blocks of flats alone, do you know what I mean? I'm like thinking to myself, Liverpool's known to be, rough and racist.
Did you have the strong Liverpool accent?
Yeah.
I'm a Muslim lad.
Yeah, exactly, the accent, you know what I mean? Hard to understand them first of all. So this comes back down to it again, man, never judge a book by its cover.
Never judge a book by its cover.
I mean, so...
And finishing off, just wanted to mention, and anything you guys want to...
No, just to add on that, I've had friends who, non-Muslim friends who I've taken to masjid with me and, they've come every day. Some of them have come every day of Ramadan during Tarawih prayers and stuff. And you can see it there, but the final conclusion is, nah, because I don't want to break my parents' heart. And that's
whoever, inshallah, Allah open their hearts towards the deen and
inshallah, everyone has their time, man, you know what I mean? Everyone has their time.
Subhanallah.
May Allah keep us on the straight path, inshallah.
I mean, so just finishing off, I think just say today's message would be every Muslim should give da'wah to non-Muslims, not be shy, because this is the biggest thing, isn't it? We're shy to sort of, as Muslims, usually we're shy to sort of speak to a white person.
But most of the time, we're never going to see him again, so what have we got to do?
Exactly. So we got to sort of tell ourselves these things. Look, I'm never going to see this person again, right? inshallah I do. He'll accept Islam.
Inshallah.
Then I see him again and again, right?
And because we're never going to see that person again, he's not going to tell your friends or family.
Yeah.
He's not going to tell people that you know. No one's ever going to know about it except for you and God and that person. So
And,
just do your thing, man.
even if he was to, it's a good thing.
It's a good
right?
thing, you know what I mean? But,
But,
just to kill that barrier.
But I think like people have this, shaitan puts this barrier up that you can't approach them. But generally speaking, how I take it out of my head is I ask myself, look, if someone was to say, I'll give you £1 million, approach this person, right? How easy would it be?
Without hesitating.
yeah,
without
approach the whole
hesitating.
world, bro. All
Why?
7 billion of
Why?
them.
Because the money is there, and I'm thinking if I can do this, I can help my family, whatever it is, right? But the point is, it's the same me, but where is that confidence coming from? It's the thought, the desire for the money. But the one who loves Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that is a force, the greatest force in itself. But of course, we don't feel that straight away. But generally speaking, I sort of test myself. I'll be like, okay, if I was to approach this person and ask him, excuse me, mate, you okay? Or, you know, excuse me, brother, do you know where Stratford Road is, for example? Would I hesitate? No, like I just, where's Stratford Road, right? But why is it I can't do it for this? So meaning you got to see that shaitan is putting this barrier. But that's people off the road. I'm speaking about mates as well. There'll be people who have been Muslim and they've had a non-Muslim mate for years, right? Like when my neighbor reverted, inshallah he'll be on the next podcast. When he reverted, we grew up together for like 18, 19, 20 years, and none of us told him that look into Islam. We had that sort of that fear in the heart for some reason.
Was it lack of knowledge on your or like?
Yeah, meaning like I don't know how to explain it. It's just like it's just a barrier. I'd love to, but I wasn't able to do it.
Did you ever think I would like to, or did you?
No, I'd love to.
Okay.
That's the thing. It was a burning desire in my heart.
Oh,
I think
so you
I'd
always
love
wanted
this,
to,
brother,
you just
but I was
don't
too
like to.
scared. Shaitan was putting these false barriers. But his story, I don't want to give it away today.
Yeah.
Inshallah, in the next podcast, you'll see his story.
I've got a
inshallah.
short story just to include
Go.
what you just said there, right? Yeah, I was listening to a story recently about Imam and I wouldn't say one of his students, but he was an Imam of the masjid, so you know, in America. And what happened was, somebody that knew a Muslim, he had a work colleague, and generally, like, you know, America, your work colleagues are generally non-Muslims. So that non-Muslim had some questions. So that friend of the Imam told him that, look, I'm going to bring my colleague to the masjid today or tomorrow. Please meet him and answer his questions. So the Imam now, he's getting really prepared. It's like, you know what, he's going to come with theological questions, philosophical questions. He'll be like asking such difficult, hard questions. And, you know, I need to get prepared, you know what I mean? I don't want to let this guy down. And obviously, I want to answer his questions as well. I want to make Islam look good. You know what I mean? We're on the correct path. Why should we share? So that friend brought his colleague with him to the masjid to the Imam. And the Imam was there, like, prepared with so many notes and everything. Like, yeah, I'm going to answer all his questions. And the friend, you know, gave the platform to the colleagues. So he introduced himself. I said, hi, hello, how are you? How's your day, etc. And he said, so the non-Muslim said, you know what, I got a question for you. Sheikh, I think he said Imam or Sheikh or something. I got a question for you. So the Imam's prepared now years and they asked me that difficult question. So the non-Muslim asked, who is Allah? And the Imam was just gobsmacked. Like, he looked at his friend and he asked him in front of the non-Muslim colleagues, like, why couldn't you answer that question for him? Why did you prepare him so much to bring him to me? Why didn't you answer that question for him? Don't you know who Allah is? Oh yes, Imam, I know who Allah is, but I just didn't know how to explain it to him. Why don't you know how to explain it to him? Allah is your Lord, you should know him, you know, you should know him, you should know about him, you should know how to explain everything about him that the non-Muslims need to know. Why are you bringing him to an Imam like me? What for? You know what I mean? And that this is your duty, this is everyone's duty. So, you know, we all have a duty as Muslims, man, you know, to do our bit, big or small. Inshallah.
Anything else? So guys, Jazakallah for watching. We're going to leave it here. And if you enjoyed it, share it with everyone, inshallah.
Ilm possible.
Ilm possible, inshallah. And we'll see you in the next video. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.